Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. John Cornett and friends are here standing by, preparing to play us some music. We have an interesting hip news segment with a few entertaining stories. Casper Leach is here to co-host the show with me. We'll be taking your phone calls in just a moment after we bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
All right, our first hip news story tonight is out of Washington, D.C. Federal Drug Administration agents, the DEA, working in conjunction with Seattle area law enforcement officials, but not actually City of Seattle officials, executed a series of raids on Tuesday on over a dozen storefronts operating as cannabis dispensaries in Washington state. The raids targeted operations in 6 cities in Washington: Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, Puyallup, Lacey, and Rochester. The statewide sweep comes on the heels of similar Justice Department-led efforts cracking down on the proliferation of medical cannabis providers in California and in Montana. The Department of Justice had previously coordinated raids of some 26 dispensaries operating in 13 cities in Montana this past March. Washington state voters decided in 1998 in favor of allowing for the use and cultivation of cannabis for therapeutic purposes. However, the law did not legalize retail dispensaries. State law does allow collective medical marijuana gardens of up to 45 plants or a maximum of 15 plants per patient. Legislation introduced this year that sought to regulate and license the operation of storefront dispensaries was ultimately vetoed by Washington's Democratic Governor Christine Gregoire. To date, the federal government has not taken similar prohibitive actions against cannabis dispensaries or state-authorized providers in Colorado, Maine, New Mexico, each of which explicitly license such operations under their state law. A spokesperson for the DEA said that the federal government is not targeting individuals with serious illnesses, but rather those operating commercial storefronts, cultivating, selling, or distributing marijuana under the guise of state medical marijuana laws. The DEA remains committed, they say, to the enforcement of the Controlled Substances Act in all states. In March 2009, as a presidential candidate, Barack Obama pledged to cease utilizing, quote, Justice Department resources to try to circumvent state laws, end quote, that allowed for the physician-recommended use of cannabis. Our next story is out of San Francisco. Cannabis significantly augments the analgesic effect of opiates in patients with chronic pain, according to clinical trial data published online in the journal Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics. Investigators at the University of California, San Francisco assessed the use of vaporized cannabis over a 5-day period in 21 chronic pain subjects who were on a regimen of twice-daily doses of morphine or oxycodone. Participants in the trial inhaled cannabis vapor on the evening of day 1 of the study, 3 times a day on days 2 through 4, and in the morning of day 5. The subject's extent of chronic pain was assessed daily. The researchers determined that the subject's pain was, quote, significantly decreased after the addition of vaporized cannabis, end quote, and surmised that cannabis-specific interventions may allow for opioid treatment at lower doses with fewer patient side effects. They concluded, quote, the participants experienced less pain after 5 days of inhaling vaporized cannabis. When the morphine and oxycodone groups were combined, this reduction in pain was significant. This is the first human study to demonstrate that inhaled cannabis safely augments the analgesic effects of opioids. These results suggest that further controlled studies of the synergistic interactions between cannabinoids and opioids are warranted, end quote. The full text of this study, Cannabinoid-Opioid Interaction in Chronic Pain, appears in the Clinical Pharmacology and Therapeutics Journal. Our next story is out of Brazil. The administration of non-psychotropic cannabis plant constituent cannabidiol, or CBD, improves motility and mobility in rats with spinal cord injuries, according to preclinical data published in the journal Neurotoxicity Research. Investigators at the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil assessed the impact of CBD on motor function in rats with cryogenically induced spinal cord injuries. The animals received injections of a placebo, or CBD, immediately after and for 3 hours after, and daily for 6 days after surgery. The researchers reported that cannabidiol-treated rats exhibited higher locomotor skills at the end of 1 week. They wrote, quote, "Cannabidiol improved locomotor functional recovery and reduced injury extent, suggesting that it could be useful in the treatment of spinal cord lesions," end quote, the investigators concluded. Previous studies of CBD have documented the cannabinoid to possess a variety of therapeutic abilities, including anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, anti-epileptic, anti-cancer, and bone-stimulating properties. The full text of this study, cannabidiol-treated rats exhibited higher motor score after cryogenic spinal cord injury, appears in Neurotoxicity Research. Our last story tonight is out of Michigan. A provision of Michigan's medical marijuana law that prohibits police from seizing cannabis possessed by licensed medical marijuana patients is invalid, according to Michigan's Attorney General Bill Schuett, who said in an opinion that he wrote last week, one in which he warns officers who return marijuana to patients could be prosecuted as cannabis dealers. Schuett wrote, quote, "It's impossible for state law enforcement officers to comply with their state law duty not to forfeit medical marijuana and their federal law duty not to distribute or aid in the distribution of marijuana," according to his opinion. Schuett was responding to a request from State Representative Kevin Coder, who asked whether the police were required to return marijuana to medical patients who'd been arrested or detained upon their release. So that's the end of our Hemp News segment tonight. We're going to jump over to John Cornett and his friend Nolan. Welcome to the show, folks.
Good to be here.
Hey, thanks for coming again.
Nolan? Such is the way of the world, you'll never know where to put all your faith and how will it grow. Gonna rise up and find my direction magnetically. Gonna rise up and turn my mistakes into gold. Such is the passage of time, too fast to fold. Suddenly swallowed by signs, lo and behold. Gonna rise up and find my direction magnetically. Gonna rise up and turn my mistakes into gold. Such is the way of the world, you'll never know where to put all your faith and how will it grow. Gonna rise up and find my direction magnetically. Gonna rise up and turn my mistakes into gold. Thank you.
John Cornett. Hey, I'd like to welcome Casper Leach to the show. Thank you, gentlemen. You guys were great. That was a good song. Appreciate that. We are taking your phone calls tonight. If you got a question for us, call us at 503-288-4448. How you doing, Casper?
Very nice, thank you.
Good, good. And we have a caller already. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello. Hi, am I on?
You are on.
Hi, Paul. How you doing? I'm calling from the D.C. area. I'm a big fan. Thank you for everything you're doing. Basically, I heard Montel Williams was thinking about being a candidate for, opening a pot dispensary here in the D.C. area.
Oh, really? In Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, actually, I'm right outside, like in Montgomery County. It's a county that butts up to D.C. So
in Maryland.
I'm here. Yeah, in Maryland, but like I'm in the D.C. area all the time, and I hear you're thinking about opening up a TCF clinic here in D.C.
Well, you know,
and also
there's some pretty tight restrictions there in D.C., but I'll tell you, I'd love to do it if we could. We'll have to see. We're not in a position anytime in the next few months, but something we're looking at more long term.
What do you feel about Montel Williams being one of the candidates for opening a
That's great.
Here in D.C.? I think so too. We need more people like that, and
yeah.
And honestly, I just can't wait if they come and open up dispensaries here. I'm going to support them. I'm going to go down there. I try to, get out to all the protests here in D.C. And like I said, big fan of what you're doing out there. And
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome, Paul. And so you're not coming out here? I thought you were. I thought you were coming out. To
we're looking at it, but it's not something that's going to happen the next 2 or 3 months. It's more long term than that.
Sounds good. We'll keep plugging away, and if I ever move out to the West Coast, I would love to support you. I would love to volunteer for you guys, and
all right.
You guys.
Well, thanks for calling.
I hope you guys come to the D.C. area and the East Coast area, and other than that, you guys take it easy. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks for calling. Really appreciate that. We're on coast to coast. If you have, and overseas as well, if you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls right up to the top of the hour. I don't think we've gotten a call from the District of Columbia before. Glad you're watching. Thanks.
It's nice that we are reaching that many people.
That's true. That's true.
And it gives me an opportunity to say hello to the Attorney General.
Your buddy.
May I?
Go ahead.
I have a message for him.
Okay, is
and
this the state one or the federal one?
All of them. I want to talk to
them
about the new DARE program that I've organized.
Okay, what are you going to do?
The new DARE program is, Monday on my program this week, we talked to medical marijuana dispensaries that had the IRS staring at their records and attacking them, basically, trying to close them down. And my question is, how dare you, when we have patients who need this for medical purposes and we have people who are creating jobs, how dare you go in there and do that? That's my first question. Secondly, Wednesday on my program, we had a former member of the DEA office come on the program and say that a war on drugs is a failure. Even people in the DEA office recognize this, and that policy needs to change. But we are putting so many people behind bars, and it's costing taxpayer a lot of money. How dare you do that? That's my little DARE program there. And then Friday, today's program, we had people from Australia talking about creating plastics and paper and fiber and fuels and jobs in their country, but our country has outlawed the production of that through our plant known as hemp, so therefore we have outlawed these jobs and outlawed our future. How dare you do that? And so with that said, I like to have a conversation sometime with every Attorney General of the United States, and especially the Attorney of the General of the United States, and find out what it means when I say to you, how dare you do it? How dare you look us all in the face and say, it's a justifiable cause, when you know that you're putting people out of work, you're making people go hungry, and you are destroying the planet. How dare you?
And for our viewers out there, I'll let you know that Casper has a radio show on the American Freedom Radio Network. It's called Time for Hemp. Here on the West Coast, it's on at 10 a.m. every Monday through Friday. If you're out there on the East Coast in the District of Columbia, that's 1 p.m. every Monday through Friday. And I usually go on Thursdays.
That's right.
We had the head of LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, on this past Thursday. Talked about working together on our initiative campaigns. He's working on them in all the states.
They think. A tri-state gathering of all the law enforcement against prohibition. And they are a great organization. Go to leap.cc. I would encourage the Attorney General, again, and all the Attorney Generals of each state to go to leap.cc and find out why it is you need to join the Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. They are a group of people who have lawyers and prosecuting attorneys and a lot of people from various parts of the enforcement industry, prison guards, border guards, who have said, it's a failed policy, and we're just destroying our treasure, we're ruining our future, and we are destroying the planet. And if you really want to get control of the drugs, well, then get control of them. And
they've abdicated control in the current prohibitory market. But we have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
I feel better. Thank you.
You got that out of your system?
Yeah.
Well, kind of, for the moment. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello, am I on?
You are on.
Oh, great. Well, I'm a legal medical marijuana grower. I have lung cancer, emphysema. I've got like a year and a half to live. And I'm new at this. So I've actually produced a lot more than I need. So I was wondering, is there some way? I see all these medical marijuana shops coming up. I've been tempted to stop and see if they buy medical marijuana and how to do that. And for myself, I actually don't know how to take it. I can't smoke it.
I would recommend a food product.
Well, me too, but I'm just trying to add, just put bud in. I'm hearing things like the cannabinoids are good for the leaf is what I want to take, not the bud. And in fact, I have a dog. This sounds really stupid, but I have a dog that has 14-year-old dog that has tumors all over her, and she's not going to can't chemotherapy, and she's not going to get radiation. She's not going to do that. And I was going to start feeding her my marijuana. I just don't know how much to give her. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I have no idea as to just how much of this stuff I should take myself and how much I should give the dog. And if there's overflow, because I grew 6 plants, I got 4 pounds. That was really good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I took good
Congratulations.
care of them. Yeah, not bad, except that, if I sell on the street, I'm a criminal, and if I don't know what to do with the rest, then, except I'm going to feed the dog and myself, and any advice you can give me on that, I would love to have it. And I totally appreciate you being there. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for your call.
I'll take my answer off the phone.
Okay, thank you, and good luck with your treatment. Basically, you have to activate cannabis. You do that by heating it up to about 200 to 220 degrees for a period of about 15 minutes. That causes the carbon dioxide molecule to break off, and that's called decarboxylation. It's a fancy word, but it means that it activates it and makes it medicinally available. So you can do that while cooking it into a variety of food products. I can't really give you any recipes here on the air, but there are a lot of different cookbooks out there, and we have some recipes in our office. So if you need some of those, you can go to, if you're here in the Portland area, as I think you are, you can go to 150 Southeast 18th Avenue and pick up our little information package that has some recipes. But there are a number of cookbooks out there that you can find at the online bookstores. And in terms of your excess cannabis, I can't really recommend any specific place that can help you right now, but I know there are a lot of patients that wish they had that kind of help. So you might want to go online and look at some of the online services out there that can assist. Or if you come to our clinic, you could ask other patients. They're certainly interested in that. But thanks for your phone call. If you have a question or comment for us tonight about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, or helping medical patients, you can call us at the number right there on your screen, 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. Okay. So you're daring them.
I dare you. How dare you take our jobs? How dare you take the economy? I want to have that conversation anytime. Of course, the problem with the DEA, they don't want to talk with somebody. They only want to talk at somebody.
That's true. That's true.
It takes courage to talk with somebody. It takes no courage at all to go arrest somebody for having a joint in their hand. Just saying.
We have another phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Howdy.
Howdy. I was wondering, I'm on a fixed income, and I have been told by my doctors and such that I could qualify for a medical marijuana card, but according to some of the phone calls that I've made, it has escalated into a doctor's visit, which would cost me $100 to get them to fill out a questionnaire, and then another $200 to get the medical marijuana card. I was wondering, is there a different way of getting this card without having to go through all this expense?
Well, not really, not in under state law. If you're talking about Oregon law, in Washington state, you don't have to file a permit with the state, you just have to see the doctor. However, under Oregon law, you have to have that state permit to be completely legal. I mean, if you want to fly under the radar and not be technically legal, then you won't have to do that. You can print the permit paperwork off the internet and take it to your own local doctor and see if they'll fill it out. If they won't do it, though, there are doctors who specialize in that. And then, but the state fee was recently raised from $100 to $200. However, if you're on food stamps or Social Security disability, it's still a $100 fee. Or if you're on SSI, Social Security Supplemental Security Income Program, it's a $20 annual fee.
Well, I'm on a Social Security disability.
Okay, so it'd be a $100 fee for you on an annual basis.
Okay, now...
I'll tell you though, one marijuana arrest would pay for that permit for 20 or 30 years.
Well, I've never been arrested.
Well, good. I hope you're never arrested.
Well, so I mean, you know, I'm 60 years old, and it's kind
It'd be a very
funny.
cruel police officer to bother you.
It's kind of funny because when I was younger, I smoked a hell of a lot of it, and you know, after you finally grow up, you kind of get away from it. But you know, after I've gone through 55 broken bones and 12 major operations,
Gosh, sounds like you were in a terrible accident.
No, I was born with a bone disease.
Ah, I see.
And
well, that's one of the things that cannabis does is it stimulates bone growth, and so it obviously would help your disease, I believe.
Is there a address or somebody that I can get in further contact for
Sure.
information that you
Call us at 503-235-4606. That number that just popped up on your screen, 503-235-4606. Or you can come to our office at 105 Southeast 18th. That's 105 Southeast 18th, just off of Burnside.
Okay.
Thanks for calling. Good luck.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think, Paul, that all the money that the state's getting from the licensing and all, they'd just be thrilled with this industry.
Well, they are. You know, the legislature specifically increased the fees to fund other programs. I think it's immoral for them to try to balance the state budget on the backs of the sick and dying. People like this man with the bone disease, the last fellow who called with lung cancer. They're trying to balance their budget on people with these horrible illnesses, and that's just unfair. And, you know, we do have a solution. We are trying to completely legalize cannabis and restore industrial hemp. Excuse me. We have a petition in circulation right now with about 40,000 signatures. We need 87,232 valid registered Oregon voter signatures by next July. If you can help us, you should go to our website there at cannabistaxact.org. That's cannabistaxact.org. Or call us at 503-235-4606. We have another caller, though. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi.
Howdy.
Yes, I am.
I have a medical permit, and I have a question about these cafes that charge. I was under the impression that no one could charge a medical patient for marijuana, that we could make a donation, but how are they getting around this? And I'll take your answer off the air, Paul. Thanks for all you do for us.
You're welcome. I'm glad to do it. You know, here in Multnomah County, the district attorney says they don't have the resources nor the will to arrest these dispensaries that are legitimately helping patients. So some of these places are charging. The state law says explicitly that they can't charge to sell medical marijuana, but they create their own protocols, and they've been operating pretty blatantly. There've only been a couple of them here in the Portland area, actually all out in Washington County. 2 of them have been shut down. One of them with a pretty objectionable name. It was the Wake and Bake Lounge, but I didn't think that was a good name for a medical marijuana dispensary myself, though, you know, I know Casper likes that on his show, Time for Hemp, and I have nothing against it, mind you, but as long as you can carry out your duties to yourself and, you know, pay your rent, and you know, but the dispensaries.
So if we as medical patients purchase from these places,
no, you're not breaking the law.
The law.
No, you're not. No, only the people who are technically selling it are breaking the law. Patients can obtain cannabis and purchase it on the black market, and they're still legal as long as they stay within their limits, which is here in Oregon 24 ounces.
Yeah.
So it's not illegal for a patient to buy it. It's the person who is selling it that runs the risk of you know, some sort of law enforcement activity.
Well, since I have you on the phone, I have another question.
Go right ahead.
How long, I have bags of leaf, and how long are leaves good for baking, and should I just toss them out?
You know,
3 to 6 months, right?
Well, no, even longer than that. They say that if you keep them in a cool, dry, dark place, they're good for a few years. They say it degrades, the science says it degrades at about 10% a year. So what you have that's a year old is 10% less potent than it was a year before, and so on. And
awesome.
So,
thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you have another question for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We have a videotape now of some local news coverage about one of the people who receives legal medical marijuana from the federal government. Elvie Masica receives...
Oh, I love Elvie.
Yeah, receives 6 pounds a year, 300 pre-rolled cigarettes a month from the National Institute on Drug Abuse, and the medical marijuana farm in Oxford, Mississippi. It's processed in North Carolina at the Research Triangle, and sometimes they give her cannabis that is over a decade old. Recently they had a new harvest, but she and the other 3 remaining medical marijuana recipients under the Compassionate Use Program that was established back in the 70s but discontinued by George Bush I back in 1991. These 4 are the surviving people, including Elvie Masica, who lives here in Eugene. And here's that news clip.
Woman is in a very exclusive group of Americans.
She's 72 years old. She's a grandmother, and she is one of 4 people in the entire country who gets her pot for free from the federal government. KOIN Local 6 reporter Jenny Hansen looked into this. She visited her down in Eugene to find out more about her decades-long fight to let everyone light up.
Okay, here we go.
Elvie Musica prefers to light up with her bong.
Observe, no coughing. And that's a big hit.
The marijuana leaves from her big hit come from a big tin she gets from the federal government. You're looking at 300 joints, a month's supply for this glaucoma patient.
Another doctor had told me if I didn't start smoking marijuana, I would go blind. And I had never, I was not a pothead, I was not a 60s kid, and I was just horrified at the thought of using this dangerous drug.
That was then. This is now. Elvie started smoking pot in the 70s when eye surgeries were failing and medications brought severe side effects. But in the 80s, police arrested her for growing a few plants in her Florida yard, and her trial got national attention.
Oh, this is funny.
She has clips from around the country detailing her cannabis crusade.
I've lived in front of every capital in the United States.
Oh, really? Elvie won her case. After all, marijuana has been shown to lower intraocular pressure in people with glaucoma. Problem was, it was still illegal to smoke it in Florida. But then she heard about a small crop grown at the University of Mississippi, funded by the feds.
It costs you, the taxpayers, $250,000 to have that little farm there, whether I'm in that program or not.
That program is known as the Compassionate Investigational New Drug Study Program, run by the National Institute on Drug Abuse. The George H.W. Bush administration shut down that program in 1992 when, at its peak, it had 30 patients, many of them suffering from AIDS. But those enrolled were allowed to continue receiving weed. Elvie is one of the last 4 remaining patients getting that free pot, which she says is a better quality now than it was a decade ago.
So I have to thank the Obama administration. They are finally sending me decent marijuana that I can use.
Because Elvie lives in Oregon, she's entitled to more legal pot than anyone in the nation, because she's also enrolled in the state's medical marijuana program. She's become an outspoken advocate for the bud, not just evident around her Eugene apartment, but also at pro-marijuana conferences.
And I'm looking forward to the day we come back here to celebrate that laws at last are a thing of the past.
And Elvie is spreading the word at home, too.
Hello.
We followed Elvie to Occupy Eugene, where she's been camping on and off. While marijuana legalization isn't Occupy's message, Elvie's message seems to be a welcome one in the makeshift campground.
I have done it in my tent at night, and I do carry a way to do it, and I do it mostly for emergencies, because in the meanwhile, I do make edibles and capsules or things like that, so that I'm always on it. It's important to me that my pressures are not up and down.
Elvie maintains it's the reason she doesn't have a single aspirin in her house, and she thinks the government is wasting too many resources criminalizing what she calls a natural drug.
Well, they certainly have enough evidence to know that this is the most amazing medicine that God has put on this planet.
Reporting for you, Jenny Hansen, KOIN Local 6.
Thank you, Jenny. Now, Elvie and the 3 other patients that are remaining in that program Jenny was telling about estimate that they have received a total of 584 pounds of federal pot over the years. And on the street, that'd be worth about $500,000.
All right, Elvie Musica rocks on. She is a hero, a good friend I've known for about 25 years. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, give us a call at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. I know you've had Elvie. We've had her here on the show a number of times. She comes to our Hemp Stock Festival and the Seattle Hemp Fest every year, and you've had her on your show.
I have, and if you go to timeforhemp.com, you can check our archives, and you can find all the interviews that I've done with Elvie, as well as all the other members of the marijuana movement. And I would encourage you to share that with your friends.
We've recently started working on your archive because you did a TV show back in the early 90s.
Yes, I did.
And so we're going to take some of those. How many episodes did you make?
There was 48 total, but I think only 10 hit the air before it became too costly to put the rest of them out.
So we have some of those interviews. I know you had Dr. Todd Mickeria, Willie Nelson,
Dr. Timothy Leary, yes, and Keith Strop, and Kevin Zeese, and Jack Hare.
So we'll be having some of those clips in the near future. We have another call, though.
Yep.
Welcome to our show, caller.
Hello.
Howdy.
I'm on SSI, And
Right.
I know that it only costs $20 for me to get a state medical marijuana card. But how much will it cost my grower under the new law?
I think it's $50 if you are not, if you name someone else as the grower. It's a $50 annual fee to name another person as a grower.
Okay, so even though I'm on SSI, I don't get a discount?
You know, I'm not 100% certain that applies to you. The law was changed just last month, went into effect on October 1st, so all the dust hasn't completely settled yet.
Oh, okay.
But for most people, it's a $50 fee now. Before there was no fee for the grower, but now if you don't name yourself as the grower, it is a $50 additional fee.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. I wish I knew more exactly. I'll find out, and we'll know in our next show. We have a studio audience member who has a call or question. Go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Just want to know, is there any changes to the fee for a caregiver? Because I have a caregiver.
No, there's no fee for the caregiver. There's just a fee for the grower. If you're not naming yourself as a grower, if you are your own grower, that $50 fee does not apply. It's just the patient fee alone under Oregon's medical marijuana program. So while Oregon has raised the fee and doubled it from $100 to $200, last week the state of Colorado cut their fee from $90 to $45 a year. If you go to Hawaii and Montana, the fee is only $25 a year. In the state of Montana, it's $10 to renew your license. So Oregon's fees are now the highest in the country. And in Nevada, it's a multi-stage process. First, you pay $50 for the paperwork. Then you get your doctor to fill out the paperwork, get some fingerprints, get some forms notarized. You mail that into the state with another $150 in the state of Nevada. Then they mail you back a letter that you take to your local DMV, pay $12 more, and then you get your ID card. So actually, the fee in Nevada is a little higher, but it's in 3 different stages, a few more hoops to jump through. If you have a question for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And we'll be taking your calls right up the top of the hour. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, I asked my doctor about using cannabis. I have multiple sclerosis and have had it for 20 years. I asked him, and I belong to a certain insurance group, and he said, well, if I decided to do that, the insurance that I have would cancel me out.
I'm not sure if that's true about the insurance. I don't think they can do that. However, for multiple sclerosis, probably more so than just about any other condition out there, you really do need to use medical cannabis, in my opinion, because it slows the progression of the disease. In fact, it's the only substance that's been shown to slow the progression of multiple sclerosis. I've seen patients that with MS who had lost their vision regain their vision after starting to use medical marijuana. I've seen MS patients that were completely seized up and dystonic and not able to move at all. Once they used medical marijuana, a couple of days later, you couldn't even tell they had MS. So it's really a miraculous substance for MS patients, and I recommend you try it. And we'd be happy to help you. We have an office here, and you could call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. And, you know, your other doctors don't have to know if you're using medical marijuana unless you want to tell them. It's kept completely private through our clinics.
Yeah, the MS has caused me to have osteoporosis because I don't bear weight very much.
Sure.
I've broken
Cannabis has been shown to help osteoporosis as well. It really helps all autoimmune diseases, and I think it'd be of great benefit to you.
Yeah, I broke both ankles just.
Oh no.
Just turning them, and
That's horrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Try that.
All right, good luck.
Bye.
Our prayers are with you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And again, there's a person with another horrible condition to think that, you know, the government's going to make them pay some outrageous fee to get a medical marijuana permit that they're going to then try to use someone in such sick condition as money to fund other government programs when, you know, the Republicans refuse to tax the very richest among us. And it's just a big...
Well, I don't sleep well at night knowing that the rich might end up in the street. But, well, just saying. So now, but you've got an Oregon Tax Act that you're working on.
That's right. We have a petition drive that's in effect right now. It would allow anybody to grow their own cannabis without a license or a permit. It would legalize industrial hemp. It would license farmers and stores and retailers so they could sell marijuana, and we could certainly use your help. We, as I said, now have 40,000 signatures. We need 87,000 valid signatures by next July to qualify for a vote. So you can go to our website there at cannabistaxact.org. You can print out the petitions. You can make a donation. And if you make a donation and you're an Oregon taxpayer, the state of Oregon gives a $50 tax credit to anyone who donates to a state political committee. So your donation now could be considered a loan that the state will pay back when you file your taxes next year. So of up to $50 a person and $100 for married couples filing jointly. So go to that website or give us a call at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We have another call. Welcome to our show, caller. Howdy.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
How are you?
Oh, doing good.
Good.
The first thing you gotta do is turn down the TV, I know.
Yeah, that's right, or it starts feedback. As you heard a minute ago.
All these little dispensaries are opening up pretty much everywhere right now.
Yeah.
Some are making it, some aren't. If I were, you know, being a patient, if I were inside as a customer to their little store, and they did get raided or whatever the word is,
they wouldn't go after you as a patient. Never heard of that happening in any jurisdiction that's had dispensaries. They aren't targeting the patients that aren't involved in selling cannabis. So if you're just simply purchasing the cannabis for your own personal use, you don't have anything to worry about.
Okay, because that's pretty important, you know?
Yeah, very important. You don't want to have that knock on the door and have to deal with law enforcement. None of us do.
Okay. And can I do one more or what? You
Sure.
got time?
Go ahead.
If am I still not allowed to take any medication across California or Washington border, no matter what size?
You know, there's reciprocity where your licenses are honored in 5 states. And those states are Michigan, Montana, Maine, Rhode Island, and Arizona. So when you go into Washington, technically, you're not covered. However, most police officers, if you show them your Oregon permit, are going to leave you alone. As long as you aren't dealing with the police officer, the odds are you're not going to be bothered. Don't use it while driving or traveling. That would be driving under the influence or driving while intoxicated, depending on what state you're in. But it's pretty safe to carry. In fact, here in Portland at the airport, they allow patients to fly out with up to 1.5 pounds, and I do it all the time. And I even had one TSA officer at the Portland airport tell me, because I always carry my Volcano vaporizer, that his father had a Volcano and a medical marijuana permit, and it really helped him a lot. He loved his Volcano. So the times, they are a-changing. But technically, you're not legal in Washington or California unless you get a doctor that's licensed in those states to help you. We have doctors who are licensed in multiple states and can offer multiple cards, but you know those doctors like to get paid, so unfortunately we have to pay them. And so, but we do offer multiple state permits.
So it is possible then? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's legality reasons or things.
Yeah, if you have that permit, then you're fine. But you know, in most cases, most police officers aren't going to bother you.
Right. No, now that, you know, once you get your card, it's like you're not hiding nothing no more. Nobody
Exactly.
does bother you. You're not worried about it.
It sure is a big relief you not to have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
I can tell you that too.
Yes. Well, hey, you guys have a good night, and I don't know, stay safe out there.
All right. Thanks for calling. Good luck with everything.
All right, bye.
Travel safe. We have another film clip we're going to run. This is a good friend of both Casper and mine, a fellow who introduced me to Willie Nelson back in 1990, speaking at the Seattle Hemp Fest last year, Mr. Gatewood Galbraith, who came in third in a run for the Kentucky governor. He got 11% or 12% of the vote in the state of Kentucky here just this month. So we'll roll that video.
And the question of hemp, the question of cannabis, is the most vivid illustration of how this government has overstepped its bounds in policing the private behavior of citizens. When they told us we couldn't plant a hemp seed in the ground, they severed us from the natural cycle. That is what they seek to do. I call it the synthetic subversion, where they want to replace all the natural products on earth that used to be grown out of God's earth and God's seed, and replace them with synthetic products, and knocked our farmer out of the agrarian society and the agrarian market, and made the ghost towns of our small cities and villages across this country. We need to rediscover a cash crop, one that will allow our farmers to go back to the land, one that will allow our farmers to compete with the petrochemical pipelines. You plant U.S. 7% agricultural land in hemp, you wouldn't have to import another drop of oil. We can replace the spills in the Gulf. We can replace the environmental catastrophe that the petroleum pipelines have cast upon Mother Earth, and instead let our farmers grow hemp as a fuel crop. In 1991, Willie Nelson and I poured hemp oil into my Mercedes diesel and drove it across Kentucky in my bid for governor. That's why he started his biofuel plant. Listen, folks, you all have been handed a torch. Jack Hare, bless his soul, passed away. I'm getting old up here. You know, we cannot carry this ball much longer. You have to become educated. You have to learn the truth. You have to reach out there and grab the responsibility of maintaining your freedom. Every generation must rewin its own freedoms. And those very sacrifices, right up to the very last second I've been talking to you, made on your behalf, cannot continue anymore. What really counts is your all's commitment to what sacrifices you're willing to make in the future to maintain your freedom. And it's right there in front of you. I encourage you to learn the law. I encourage you to learn the political process. I encourage you to reach out there and take responsibility of your own freedom. Live your life like a warrior. God bless you all. Thanks for having me out here in Seattle.
That's Kentucky lawyer Gatewood Galbraith, and he was out here helping us and just came in third as an independent candidate for governor with about 11 or 12% of the vote. You know, I encourage you to help us get this initiative on the ballot. You can go to our website at cannabistaxact.org and print out a single signature petition. You can fill out the volunteer information and we'll send you petitions so you can get your family and friends to sign. You can also make a donation that's tracked and reported according to state political contribution laws, and that's eligible for a $50 tax credit when you file your Oregon income tax. If you're outside of Oregon, you can still donate, but you won't get that tax credit. But call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606, and take responsibility for your freedom, as Gatewood Galbraith reminds us here. I was there in '91 when he poured this hemp seed oil into his red Mercedes-Benz station wagon and drove about 150 miles across the state, and it was a pretty inspirational sight when I first learned about that. But we have a caller who's been standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Ah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Max. I'm the medical cannabis patient who was denied a transplant. We and I have spoken.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping that I'd hear more about it in the news, but no one seems to want to notice it anywhere out in the real news.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, we have seen a number of potential liver transplant patients pass away who've been denied their transplant. It's received a little bit of news coverage at times, but never as much as it deserves. Perhaps one of the patients who got the most attention was one up in Seattle, Tim Guerin. And another lady here in Portland was denied a transplant, and they took her off the list. They put her back on the list, but she passed away before she came back up to the top. So,
well,
go ahead.
Yes, my doctor has told me that methamphetamines is not as bad for me as marijuana.
That guy's pretty ignorant.
OHSU liver transplant doctor.
What's his name?
I'd rather not tell you.
Okay, I understand.
He's an okay
There's
person.
one
He's
nephrologist,
not
a
a
liver
scientist.
doctor up at OHSU who's part of Drug Watch International, an anti-marijuana watchdog group out there. And
Yes, well,
he's had a lot of influence at OHSU, unfortunately.
Well, my doctor went on to tell me that if I had gotten a transplant, because I'm an addict, of course, marijuana rather than what he wants me to be an addict of, even after the transplant, they would let me die in a hospital if I used medical cannabis again.
That
So I was very. He told me I should be very happy that we stopped it now. Somehow he thought that somehow he was going to make me feel okay about his murder. I'm sorry. It's murder if a doctor walks away from a client. I'm not going to mesh words anymore.
I agree. I agree. My sympathies to you,
They've had 60
sir.
years of propaganda and some kind of backing from the government. It should not allow them to murder people.
I agree, sir. It's my sympathies that you've been put through this experience, and I hope that you can
Sorry
get
to
that
be so heavy
transplant.
about it, but it is my life. But thank you for being there, folks.
Hey, well, thanks for calling, and thanks for sharing your story with us.
And that needs to be part of the How Dare You program.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Well, I'm not one of those people that's going to pass away from this. I'm not allowing them to do this
Great.
on a personal basis.
Good.
And thank you guys for being there. That's all I really had to say. So
Thank
hang in
you.
there.
Thanks for
the good
calling.
work.
One love.
We
Bless you all.
appreciate your
Bye-bye.
call. So that's why we're fighting to end adult marijuana prohibition and restore industrial hemp. We believe that when hemp is restored, we're going to wipe out a lot of the petrochemical industry and return control to our farmers as we run our cars on hemp biodiesel. We have hemp foods. We won't be cutting down our forests for paper. We'll be using hemp fiber for paper and cloth. We won't have to spray all the toxic poisons we do on the cotton crop if we can use hemp instead. So help us legalize marijuana by supporting our petition drive, the Cannabis Tax Act, at cannabistaxact.org, or call us at 503-235-4606. Now, if you or a loved one are looking for a doctor who can help you get a medical marijuana permit all up and down the West Coast and out to Michigan and Hawaii as well, you can call us toll-free around the country at 1-800-723-0188, or you can call our number here in Portland at 503-235-4606. I want to thank you, Casper.
Oh, it's an honor.
Coming in and co-hosting the show again. We'll be back next week, and I think we're off next week with the Thanksgiving holiday. Is that right? I think so. But we'll be back live the week thereafter. John, thanks for coming on. You're going to be closing us out with a song. This is Mr. John Coronet. Thank you, John, and help us restore hemp.
Yeah.
Good night.
Now is the time.
educate, sound the alarm, investigate. Now is the time for the truth. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. Whoa, whoa. Now is the time. The time is now to tell the truth.